Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Beyond the Pages here on Sisters Hour, our weekly book review, of course. This week we are reviewing the book Illuminating the Difference, Black, White and Brown Women by Habeeb Akande. And joining me today is Anna Maria and Saleha. Assalamu alaikum. So this book was my chosen book. And I am. And to be honest, Habeeb Akande, bless him, he's a very young historian and author, but yet he's writing about things that people are not talking about. Right. So he's, it's good that he's writing about topics such as his previous book was on race and colours and so on, and that view in terms of in Muslim history. Right. And this book deals about beauty and women and the male desire. Right. So I'm just going to read. How the words that he uses to describe the book. Okay. So he says the book celebrates the diversity of beautiful women and explores the historic reasons why men desire women of particular skin colors and ethnic backgrounds. Okay. So Illuminating the Difference is about female beauty and male desire. Drawing upon traditional Afro-Arab sources dating back to the 9th century, the book explores the aesthetic qualities that men desire in women. Nice. So this book is I know, like, I'm sure as women we have a lot to say.
We do indeed.
On this title, but I actually did enjoy reading the book. Okay. I like the idea that it's very short. It's not kind of like a thick book, and you can do this in literally a day. So it's a nice kind of summary. I wouldn't say it goes into in depth into the topic, but one of the issues that I had was this idea that it's coming from an opinion. Yeah. Right. Whereas sometimes we present our opinions as facts, where it's just if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And so you can tell in the book that Habeeb, he does kind of look at this idea of what's attractive of black women, what's attractive of white women, why do men desire brown women? And I know you, Anna Maria, even of the issue black, white and brown.
even the labels are problematic now, and I think we've got to a point where we need to start moving away from these labels. And I have several issues with the book. I think he does address a number of very important points. So, for example, the holding up of the white woman, quote unquote, if we are going to use those kind of words, as the pinnacle of beauty, how they were desirous across cultures, how people want to be like them, how people desire them in all sorts of different ways. I think that issue is a problem, and it's being highlighted in the media quite a lot. For example, you see women of colour who are presented usually as either perpetrators of violence or victims of violence. They are not the object of, they're not seen as beautiful in the media generally, and they are, whereas women, white again, or white women
just are using his terms,
right, using those terms. And I think that's an important point. I do have issue with the rest of the book because I feel like he contradicts his self-stated aims in exploring the different types of beauty, because, for example, he will in each section, black, white and brown, list, or no, actually he does it by continent, lists countries in each continent that have beautiful women. And I just think I find it insulting, to be honest.
What do you think?
Well, I'm just thinking, just going on from what Anna Maria said, of course, the whole, study of a subject like this is incredibly important. As you were saying, a lot of these are a lot of the things that people don't want to necessarily talk about, because it kind of makes everyone feel like either they may offend or they don't really want they're sort of, these are quite deep feelings, right? Like what men desire, or what kind of woman is attractive. To define things like that is a very personal thing. And so I think the matter about describing a definition of who is beautiful from which country or which continent or ethnicity is very fluid in a sense, because you can't really there is no one standard of beauty, is it? But to say like a Dominican woman, for example, this is, if you look at a description of a beautiful Dominican woman is like this. suppose lots of other Dominican women don't fit that, so they're not beautiful.
But if he doesn't define it, or if as an individual, if you don't define beauty, aren't you just allowing society to do it? Because regardless of whether or not, you know, he obviously he has his own opinion, but if he's not going to do it, society is already telling us this is the definition of beauty.
But I don't think either of those are okay to impose in whatever way, whether it be through literature, whether it be through the media, whether it be through just popular culture, to impose a standard of beauty. We generally have an innate sense of what's beautiful or not, but I think when he says that, you know, every woman can be beautiful, etc., I wouldn't have had a problem if he said, in my opinion, these countries have beautiful women, but to present it as fact is very problematic. And I mean, where does that leave women in those cultures, for example, or countries who don't fit that category of beauty? Are they then not beautiful?
I think they're probably ugly.
I think it would be an easier place it would be easier to discuss if it had been presented as an opinion. Everybody is entitled to an opinion, and you can then explore where that opinion comes from, as opposed to, in Europe, these are the countries that are considered to have beautiful women, or in Africa, or in whatever continent you're looking at. I just find that I don't quite understand why that is.
But perhaps it's coming from, and this is something which I find quite refreshing about the book, that it's from a male perspective, even though
quite honest as well.
But it's nice that he's very honest. I'm not saying I agree with a lot of what he says, but he's very honest. He's not very apologetic, and sometimes it's nice to hear that from men, rather than a lot of the times men kind of tell you what you want them to hear. And even obviously he has his own opinions, and whether or not he believes what he's presented is his opinions or facts, but he does kind of look at what Arab and African Muslim scholars viewed as beauty. So he puts across their opinions, and that's also very interesting to kind of look at, especially how it's very, very similar to this day and age. Like, it hasn't changed, and it's also interesting that they're Muslims and they're scholars. So just because they believe that a woman with a curvy body is beautiful, or a woman who's very big, and a woman who walks like this is very beautiful, that doesn't necessarily mean that himself as a Muslim scholar, he's kind of like, oh no, he's not a good Muslim scholar because he's talking about women in a very physical term. For me, it showed me the reality of men, whether they're scholars or whether they're just down the street. They do view women as physical beings. I'm not saying only as physical beings, and I don't think that's what he was doing in this book, to kind of just limit women or reduce women to physical attributes, even though he does.
Right, and this is the problem. It's sort of, and then, I think this would come under, if you were going to put it in a genre, it would come under academic writing, and I don't think it meets a lot of the criteria for like impartiality, for example, not like presenting your opinion as fact. I think it I'm not sure which parts are opinion and which parts are. Some are clearly backed up by fact and other scholarly writings, but other parts aren't. And I think we have to be very, very careful as Muslims and as scholars that we present everything with evidence. We always need proof, and you need to give us a reason why, for example, you are presenting that fact or opinion. You have to back it up by some sort of evidence or proof, or some supporting, I don't know, figures or other views of other people. And I think it's lacking in certain areas in that, and that's problematic. I think it's a great place to start discussion. And I do think our standards of beauty need to be discussed, because they are becoming increasingly damaging, especially to younger women. Even men nowadays, actually. The standard of sort of the perfect physique is causing an awful lot of problems in teenage boys. I do think we need to discuss this. I just think we need to be very careful in a discussion to present facts as facts with evidence, and opinions as backed up by facts, and be very, very, very rigid with that. Or not rigid, but be very, very careful.
Alhamdulillah, thank you to Habeeb Akande for allowing us to kind of bring up and discuss these sort of things, because we aren't talking about what is beauty or should we define beauty. But I would definitely give this book, I was going to say 5 out of 10. I would recommend this book. That's what I would say. I definitely recommend, whether you agree with what he's saying or you don't agree with what he's saying, I think people should read it. That's the main thing. Read it and kind of get your own opinion. But thank you so much, Anna Maria and Saleha, once again. That is all we have time for. Inshallah, we shall see you next week. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.